Hi everyone, thanks for joining me this morning to go through the stun protocol. I'm going to talk a little bit about um, the changes that potentially come in the future, sort of what alternatives there might be, and really sort of why you want to be using these other alternatives. So, um, my name's Jason, and thanks for joining me. Let's sort of get into it. But I mean, if you do have any questions, by all means, send them in. Let us know what your questions are, and we'll answer them at the end. Not saying I can answer them all today, but by all means, I'll come back to you, and I might even give you a call and just run through just to make sure everything is all good. But drop them in. There should be a little questions box on the right hand side of your screen, so send them in. But really, we're going to talk about sort of the key points. Sort of firstly, in terms of the actual stun protocol, now there is no data when this will be switched off, and I imagine it's going to be for still around for quite some time yet. But really, we want to just be preparing people to make sure that you are prepared when it eventually does go off and sort of inevitably goes off. But this could be a number of years until that does actually happen. But really, we just want to get you thinking about for your future installations what options you've got, where you might not want to be using stun, and really just talk about some new SBC phones, and really just for future installations, just kind of keep it in the back of your mind to what you might be able to put in instead, just kind of future proof yourself and for your customer's sake as well, future installations. So I mean, what are the concerns then? So of course, with any technology, there are going to be disadvantages. With stun, you have security concerns as the traffic may not be encrypted, or it is not encrypted. And if you're in an insecure environment, you are vulnerable to attacks. So really, if there are alternatives that are more secure, obviously you want to be using them instead. And I feel like nowadays, security is definitely a top priority, and I feel like every day I'm seeing a new article about security issues with an app or vulnerabilities here and there. So now more than ever, we really need to be thinking about security and how we can protect ourselves and protect our customers from unwanted attacks. So definitely want to be moving away from stun, just for even on the basis of the security concerns. So but of course, you've got firewall complications as well. So some packets being blocked through by the firewall, obviously it's causing issues for yourself when you're setting the system up, or your customers. So really, it's not an ideal situation where packets can be blocked. But it's also slower to configure or install when compared to other supported devices or different ways of getting the traffic across. So just to kind of speed up your installation, again, it might cost you a little bit to start with, but really it's going to save you your money in the long run. So and of course it's not supported by 3CX either. So if you are after some help, it can be a little bit trickier to actually find and get the answer you're looking for. But of course, if you do have any questions, reach out to our tech guys, and I'm sure we'll be able to look into the issue for you. But where we can, we want to be using supported devices. So in terms of the alternatives, well, what are they really? So you've got your site-to-site VPNs. Now they can be a little bit tricky to set up, but you also got the classic SBC. Now this can be put on a Raspberry Pi, a Windows PC, or have it in the cloud, on a virtual machine. Which, if you are using a 3CX license, because it's a license, you ideally want to get away from the hardware. So virtual machine might be a better option. But equally, Raspberry Pis can work quite nicely, or just on hosted locally on a Windows PC. The SBC supported phones. So this is quite a new bit of kit that's come out. So just to make sure everyone is aware, there are new phones coming out and ones that are already out that have SBCs built into the phones, which is really useful for 3CX because you can run the phones through that phone then. So from Fanvil, you've got the V62, you've got the V64 and the V65. From Snom, you have the D8 series, you've got the D862, the D865, Yealink, their whole T5 range, excluding the T58 for the moment. You've got the T53, T53W, T54, and T57Ws. So these are really great options because they allow you to have 10 devices to be able to run through them. So you can buy one of the phones, because they are a bit at the higher end, you can buy one of these phones and run additional phones through them. So let's say you had one T53 or one T54W, you can run 10 other devices through that phone. So you might have some T42s, for example, on site. You can have 10 of those running through the T54, which will save on cost, but it really is a nice way of going about it. Now, again, for example, if you had 100 phones, you'd only need 10 of these SBC supported phones to make the whole solution work. And you've got the SBC there, so you've got the security in mind as well, which is great. So in terms of the supported devices, obviously we've mentioned it again, Fanvil, Yealink, and you've got your SNOM. Now there is a full list online, so you can find that on 3CX's website, or you can reach out to myself or anyone in the sales team, and we'll go through the supported devices with you to make sure you're fully up to date with what is supported. But Fanvil, Yealink, and SNOM are predominantly the sort of main supported devices. And of course, with that, you can get another 5% off all Fanvil and SNOM handsets when you purchase a new license through ProView. So something to keep in mind, on these SBC supported phones. Just let us know if you've got any installation. We'll get you the sort of pricing sorted out, and we can quote you accordingly. But yeah, really want to be looking at these newer phones. And that's really it for the moment in terms of the sort of updates and supported devices. Now I do want to reiterate that the stun protocol has not been switched off for the time being, but inevitably it will be, because I know we've had a few people join since then. But for the time being, it is still ongoing, but really we want to be looking at alternatives and how we can sort of future-proof the installations. So, but are there any questions at all? Let us know down in the question box, or of course you can reach out to myself either on the main number or email, or just give us a call on the direct line there, and we'll go through the questions if you've got any. But by all means, drop them in the box now so we can go through them. Oh, there's actually one here. No, let me have a look at that. Is the 5% on all SNOM and Fanvil handsets or headsets as well? Yeah. So the 5% is on everything that Fanvil and SNOM do. So if it's headsets, if it's power supplies, if it's the actual phones itself, you can get that 5% discount. So just let us know, and we'll quote accordingly for what your requirements are. But yeah, it is on everything, which is great. So just let us know on that. Someone else asking, how many devices can run through an SBC phone? So 10 devices. So you can have 10 other devices. So if you've got a T53W, for example, you can have 10 T42Us running through that device, using the power of the SBC. So you don't always have to go for the T5 series or your new Fanvil phones, your SNOM D8 series. You don't always have to have the whole. Every phone doesn't need to be one of those higher end models. Is there any other questions? So can we use HTTPS and TLS instead of stun? For the time being, it is as it always has been. But in the future, inevitably when stun does get turned off, the likelihood of that happening as well, it's very possible that HTTPS and TLS will also be turned off. But really, we don't have anything concrete at the moment. But I can definitely have a bit of a further look into that and see what the chances of that is. And because really, I think we'll be moving to solely sort of SBCs. Again, quite far into the future, but we're really just trying to future-proof installations. But I'll definitely have a bit of a further look into that for you, and I'll come back to you with a sort of a more concrete response if I can get one, and I'll update you either way. So, but thanks for the question. Are there any others? I'll give it a minute. Not seeing any other questions at the moment. So, but as I mentioned before, if you do have any questions further, or if you just think something later in the day, by all means give us a quick call, and we'll go through any questions you've got. So, but I appreciate your time, everyone. Thanks for joining me. We'll be having another sort of bite-size webinar next month as well, so look out for the emails on that, and we'll be announcing the topic a little bit closer to the time. But appreciate everyone joining. As I said, any questions, just let us know. Thanks everyone.